Cole?
Who are you?
Maybe this will refresh your memory. You bastard.
What? What was that all about?
Ask him.
All right. Okay, everybody. So we are here today and we are joined by the lovely Diamond. How are you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody doing out there? All the millions of listeners.
Listen, we
our discussions.
baby, we are speaking it into existence.
Manifested.
Exactly. So, how's everything going with you today?
I'm good. I'm enjoying this Sunday. We are avoiding the Super Bowl by talking about the things that really matter. We will be checking out some music later, maybe the performances, but we are here to talk about the true things that matter. But just enjoying this Sunday because let me tell you, it has been all this snow and all this ice. These last couple of Sundays have been trouble, but I'm happy we are here today.
I am too. I'm so excited for today because we're here to talk about the three faces of Phoebe. And you know, this is one of our episodes that we watched and we enjoyed. I feel like we enjoyed this episode, I think, a little bit more than we thought we were going to over on the Patreon. And it was just like, this is one of those episodes that I have a weird memory of because for some reason I always remembered either not liking it or loving it. It was always somewhere in between, but I could never quite, land on what I felt about it. And going back and watching it, just for the listeners at home who may not remember, the three faces of Phoebe has Phoebe really nervous about accepting Cole's proposal. And she is so scared of making the wrong decision that she decides to turn to magic. And in casting a spell to get an answer on whether she should marry Cole or not, she has her younger self and her older self transported back to her. And throughout the episode, we watch the hijinks ensue as she's interacting with the past and the future. So, let me ask you a question just to get it started off. So, what did you think of that aspect of the episode, bringing little Phoebe and old Phoebe into this?
I really do wonder, like when we think about the spell that she says, to be able to hear her heart's inner desires. How do like I do Leo's explanation of, to hear you remind yourself of your younger self when love was pure and to see how it can turn and all that BS that Leo be saying. I see how we got to explaining it, but ultimately I don't think bringing little Phoebe and old bitter Phoebe to the present actually served the purpose it was supposed to for the spell, which is really interesting. So when I really think about that, like I see the hijinks and shenanigans and how that's fun. I see how reminding herself of some of these things can help to center Phoebe, but I don't really see how bringing them to Phoebe, especially when you consider the fact that little Phoebe don't know anything and old Phoebe isn't going to say anything. So it really doesn't help Phoebe. And it's only because of the circumstances of the actual episode itself that Phoebe gets an answer, the answer. She really kind of gives herself her own answer, makes up her own mind on that one. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like there was a better way to have this happen. I feel like it almost could have been like similar to Which Prue Is It Now? Where three versions of her current self, the one that does want to marry Cole, or Phoebe, and then the version that does not want to marry Cole. I feel like that would have been a little bit more interesting. And then that would have been a better way of her answering that question of hearing her, because then you have the two versions of herself can really kind of state their case and you can kind of make up your mind from there. So that's kind of where I land on it as far as bringing them to the future or bringing them to the present.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think the way I see it, and I don't know because I'm just whatever, but I almost wonder if her premonition power has something to do with the way that it manifested. Like, because her actual power works. Now, mind you, I'm making all this up. You know what I mean? Like this is purely just me speculating, but it makes me wonder if like the way that her power works, it was like, okay, we're going to bring it through time because also, one thing that you and I have talked about with Phoebe is she's very much someone who needs to see things for it
Mm-hmm.
to actually like mean something to her.
Yeah.
So in the way I look at it is like, especially the end that we'll get to, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
Phoebe's ultimate sacrifice. I feel like that was the thing for her that was like, okay, if I'm willing to do that, then I'm going to do it,
Yeah.
because Phoebe doesn't trust herself.
Yeah.
And that's what makes me feel like that's why she needed to see those external, like, this is what I was like when I was little, and I believed in love, but that didn't really have too much to do with anything,
Yeah.
because ultimately what made her make her decision was old Phoebe. And
Yeah.
I think that there was something in her that was like, even after all that time, I was still willing to make that sacrifice, so that means the love is
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
And she needed to see that, because she wasn't gonna believe anything else that someone just told her, even if
Yeah.
it was that's the only thing
That's
that's the
true.
only thing I can think of to
Yeah.
make it make sense. Because you're right, like, it did kind of feel a little like gimmicky almost to have.
Yeah. It did just a tiny bit.
Although,
But
oh, sorry, no, go ahead, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but I do think when you bring in that element of it, of like she has to really see to believe. You're so right. Phoebe's not just gonna accept an art a good rousing debate. She's not gonna
Mm-hmm.
accept that. She's really gonna have to see her own dead body
Yeah.
vanish in order to know that Cole is I guess the one for her, even my old self. So yeah, no, but what were you gonna say? Although
Oh, well, I was gonna say, although I think another thing that maybe aided in that decision was
mhm,
seeing herself essentially turning to Grams, because
yeah.
for
Mhm,
all intents and
definitely.
purposes, that was Penelope walking around.
That was, oh my gosh, that was Penelope Gordon all day. Oh my gosh. Like, I mean, in every aspect, she's like, "What do you? Why don't you think we married in the future right now?" Like, she
Mm-hmm.
was so just biting at every little comment, and no, like she wasn't even a little bit like happy
Yep.
to like see her younger self, or to,
Yes.
or even like sort of like nostalgic. Like I can
Mm-hmm.
understand being like, yeah, I'm not gonna help you, I can't help you, but I remember being here, I remember being confused, I remember feeling like this. It's tough, you know. She could have just said other stuff without giving it away to her.
Yep.
She could have said other things to her that would have led her to, that would have still helped Phoebe, but she
Mm-hmm.
couldn't because she was
Mm-hmm.
bitter,
Mm-hmm.
because she lost the love of
Yep.
her life in the same way that Grams did, killed by evil, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
And that really did turn her bitter, bitter,
Mm-hmm.
bitter. Because if we know anything about our lovely Phoebe, she would have kept, like, even after Cole's demise, she would have kept dating, and she would have dated just as many men and maybe had just as many husbands as Grams did,
Mm-hmm.
because Phoebe loved love and Phoebe loved falling in love. And so she would have been chasing it. And I do think that she did not want to, the way, just the same way Prue did not want to be Patty, and
Yep.
she kind of did turn into Patty.
Yep.
Phoebe did not want to be Grams, and Phoebe was on her way to becoming Grams,
Mm-hmm.
just like expeditiously.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Because you are absolutely right. Because I think that what that makes me think of, what you just said makes me think of, is the fact that Phoebe kind of has spent her entire life in a what if scenario. Constantly
Mhm.
thinking about the what ifs. What if Patty
Yeah.
had lived? What if Victor had stayed? What if she had grown up in a normal, you know, in her
Yeah.
mind, normal, like,
Yeah.
what she considers normal situation, you know, whatever else. What if this had happened? And so I feel like this was just another what if that she actually got a chance to see play out. And she
Yeah.
was like, oh, okay, no, we're not
She
going to
had
do
the magic
that.
to do
Mm-hmm.
it, whereas before it was just like because magic has been such a pivotal thing for Phoebe, because it really, like, it helped Phoebe to find herself. Like Phoebe
Yeah.
was completely lost before she had magic,
Mm-hmm.
and when she found magic again, it allowed her to be like you said, I don't have to necessarily live in the what ifs anymore, because I could see what those like things would be like. I have the power of premonition, and if I develop it enough, I'll be able to see whatever I want to see what
Mm-hmm.
my future life would have been like.
Mm-hmm.
Astral project into the future where my dad did stay around to help raise
Yep.
me, right?
Yep.
But she really did want that. She didn't want to make another bad decision.
Right.
It wasn't just, do I marry Cole? There is a big elephant in the room.
Mm-hmm.
Cole and Phoebe's relationship led to the demise of Prue.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
And so now your sister is dead. And the next thing you're going to do in your relationship to this man, and your relationship with this man is one of the many catalysts that led to your big sister's death. You're now going to marry him.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's a lot. That's a lot to sit there and wonder, am I making another bad mistake? Because my bad mistake of going to the underworld to save Cole, was what spell was he under? Question mark.
Right.
Like, serious, because people still tell me that. What spell was he under?
He was never under a spell. If they did a spell, let me say this: they did it off screen. We did not see a spell be cast on that man.
The entire purpose of Raynor consistently pressuring Cole was that Cole had to make the choice. Or it wouldn't have actually been an evil thing. Like, that was the whole thing. So yeah, like, she already has that sort of like hesitance with that situation. The last time she prioritized her relationship over Cole cost Prue's life. Now I feel like something's wrong, like you mentioned, and her premonition power is trying to tell her something.
Yes,
it's not right, and she can't. Like she said, it feels like a premonition that just won't come up. And it's very, very interesting because how long had it been since they'd vanquished the source? And Phoebe does this spell because she was saying that he's acting like he did when he was Beltazor. How long has he been acting like this?
Right. Girl, let's put the pieces together.
Like, and he looks, and I mean, I hate to use the phrase, but he looked strung out.
He did.
Strung out in that episode.
He did. It was given very much crack. Like, I don't know how to say it. It was just like, my God.
It was really giving fiending. It was really giving fiending because, like, he looked strung out. And it's the fact that, like, I'm sorry, but like, you're not going to leave. I don't care. I don't care that you don't want to talk to me right now. Something is wrong with you, and you're going to stay here and you're going to talk to me. I don't like just letting him walk away when you can clearly tell he's struggling with something. No. Sit his ass down. Make Piper freeze him and unfreeze his ass.
Oh my God. Can you imagine if Piper tried to freeze him and then he didn't freeze and they're like,
Oh, that's right, because he was source. He wasn't fully integrated yet, but he was still. I didn't think about that.
Because he might have been smart enough to kind of catch on to what's happening, and then he could pretend to be frozen. But I don't know, because the way my boy's reflexes were not that good at that point. He was again strung out. He
was very strung out. And that's my thing, I think, with Phoebe is like her avoidant behavior. I think that's a part of it is that, like, your answers are not in the Book of Shadows. Your answers are not in a spell. Your answers are not even with that old bitter lady. Your answers are with that man. Sit him down and talk to him and make him have a conversation with you. Because I think if Phoebe had really sat Cole down and even used magic to keep him contained so he couldn't leave the house, Cole would have been able to break through whatever struggle him and the source were having and been able to tell her what was going on.
That would have been a very interesting scenario.
And then we could have had the whole, let's put Cole where the hollow is until we can figure out how to because but Phoebe is so avoidant that she would rather, instead of having a conversation with her soon-to-be husband, she would rather turn to magic, the thing that she now relies on to give her clarity and to give her strength. And I think that is why she turned to doing a spell. And Piper was wrong for encouraging her, talking about, you know how to word it. Girl!
Yeah. Like, girl, come on.
Don't let Paige think she can get away with it.
Exactly. Yes. That goes back to something I was talking about, like, that we were having a discussion about in live, though, today. And I know that that's such a random whatever, but that's where it was. I'm sorry. That wasn't a self-plug, I promise. But the way that Piper and Prue coddle Phoebe, and that's a prime example of them coddling her, of being like, you know how to do it. It's okay if you go ahead and do it, whatever else. Even though Piper literally watched this woman burn at the stake for using magic inappropriately. Like, Piper has seen the consequences of this, and she still is like, Mm-hmm.
You're fine. It's okay. It's not that. And it's just like, just listen to your heart. It's like, well, and that's the thing I think is so very interesting about the sisters is they will consistently say they want a normal life. And that's,
Mm-hmm.
and every time I think about that, I think about Dan Gordon.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why don't you marry the living man instead of the dead guy?
Exactly.
If you want a normal life, why don't you marry the guy next door? Literally.
The guy with the active social security number.
Right? Like the one that we don't got to literally commit fraud to marry. What about that guy? But they want this normal life. And part of what comes with having a normal life is that you as a human have to figure out your own problems. You don't get to use magic. We don't get to just say spells and fix these things. And I think that is a lesson that they refused to learn. And I think specifically Phoebe, I feel like she always wanted to use magic to fix her problems. Piper wanted to use magic to take back, what she felt was taken from her by magic always intervening. But Phoebe always wanted to use magic to fix her human problems, like finding a baby daddy. I mean, that's season 6 type of stuff.
Yeah.
But still, like she wanted to, you know what I'm saying? It's like she wants to find a husband. So now she's forcing premonitions and making potions to triple this and to double that. And it's like, where was this energy when we were trying to vanquish the source?
Exactly.
So yeah, I think that when it comes to Phoebe, especially in the Three Faces of Phoebe, we do get to see some of those insecurities coming through again. Like now, I feel like after the source was vanquished, I feel like is when we really started to return to normal. Like now that Prue's not here anymore. And I feel like that's when we really see Phoebe's personality really, really shift, like super shift into this. Oh, I have to be an adult now. I have to be this way. I have to be a Prue. And I think when she accepted at the end of this episode of like, I'm now going to marry Cole and that's going to be what it's going to be. I think that's when she finally accepted, okay, well, now I'm going to become an adult. And now I'm going to have to start acting this certain type of way.
Right.
And she really tried to kind of copy what Prue did before because she was like, I mean, both of them, both Piper and Phoebe tried to keep Prue alive by taking on different aspects of her personality, Piper wanted to be the big sister and Phoebe wanted to become like the career focused kind of person that has her life together and is an adult and can be like, look, Prue, I wasn't still a screw up after you left, after you died. I got my shit together. You inspired me type of thing.
Yeah.
But Prue would have been so mad that she married Cole.
Oh, absolutely.
She would have been so mad.
And as we've been kind of talking, it makes me wonder if the backfire of it was having little Phoebe there because it could have been very easy to end Phoebe. Yeah. That could have been very, very easy.
That was Curzon's plan. That is, that's very interesting because you would only need the older one to tell you what you need to do in the future. So yeah, that makes sense that having the younger Phoebe there was the backfire. Interesting. I never thought about that because I'm like, I always did wonder, like, what was little Phoebe's purpose in the spell? Obviously, older Phoebe's purpose was to say, hey, here's what I did, and here's how it turned out, make up your decision. But what was little Phoebe's purpose? Like, what Leo was saying never makes any sense. So
like reminding her about love and Cinderella being her favorite story and whatever else. And it's like, it was cute, don't get me wrong. And it was cute when she takes the photo album and she's like, remember when daddy gave us this for our birthday? Yeah. Like it's a cute moment, but it's like little Phoebe really posed the most danger for all of them. Like even old Phoebe, as soon as she saw that, was like, what did you do? Like she immediately is like, girl, you are about to get us killed. What is going on?
Crazy. And that was the first thing that should have been a thought for them. It took little Phoebe getting attacked before they ever considered that she was in danger.
I wonder if they thought she was real. Like for some reason in my mind, I'm thinking Phoebe maybe thought that they were just figments versus like the actual people pulled from them. So maybe that's why she didn't take it super seriously.
That would make sense. That would totally make sense. Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense until then you have demons actively coming after her that you're like, wait a minute. And I don't want to find out which is true because you don't want to risk finding out which version is true.
Exactly.
Let them take little Phoebe out and then Phoebe immediately disappears.
Right. Like
I can totally see that. But yeah, I think ultimately not necessarily selfish. That's not the word I would use to describe this, but reckless, yes. But like, it was just mostly from the deepest place of Phoebe's insecurity in relation to growing up, not just marrying Cole, but in relation to growing up and growing up in a world that is so completely different than what you expected it to be, even simply down to the fact that y'all always expected that Prue was going to be there. They never expected that Prue was not going to be there. So now you have to envision the rest of your life without her. And while you're finally stepping into really being an adult, and I think that's really what prompted Phoebe, the insecurity about making a choice to move forward in life without Prue. Like the next step you make is now the first step you make without her. And that's got to be terrifying. I've never lost a sibling, so I wouldn't know like that level of like, how do you imagine your life without a sibling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's where it was coming from, that deep, deep, deep insecurity of like, this is the first thing I'm going to do without Prue.
Mm-hmm. Especially the one that was basically your parent. You know, the one that took care of you and protected
Lost
you.
another mom.
Yeah, exactly. She has essentially lost another mom. And it's just like, I can't imagine. I think when Phoebe casts that spell, I get a lot of desperation from it. Of just like, what should I do? Like she knows what she wants to do. And that's the thing about Phoebe that's so hard in this episode. She does not want to marry Cole. And it's not just unique. And it is not just unique to this episode. Phoebe has not wanted to marry Cole since he first brought it up.
A long time. Yeah.
And I get that. I think it's that desperation of keeping this love in her life. And she doesn't want to lose another person, another thing, another, whatever. And so it's interesting the fact that in the future Phoebe, they vanquished him. He didn't leave. He didn't die. He didn't whatever. They had to specifically vanquish him after they found out he was a source. So I think that's the other thing about Phoebe in this episode is it's very much that road not traveled that scares her the most. Going back to kind of what we were talking about before about Phoebe constantly living in a state of what if. I think it was her not knowing specifically how this could turn out.
Yeah.
And I know people give her flack, including myself, right? Because I've been in that club for her premonitions not being, like cluing her into certain things. Yeah. But I almost feel like that's what gives her that level of desperation in this particular episode, because before, even if she didn't want to see something necessarily, she still would get visions of it. So people dying, people getting hit by cars, things like that. With the Cole situation, when they first were together, she didn't want to know anything. I feel like she didn't want to know anything bad about Cole. And so it just wasn't coming through. But now she can tell that this thing that's a part of her wants to come out so bad. And I really think that's what ended up kind of crossing up with it, and that's what made me think of the premonition aspect of it, is because she knew something was going on, and there was that thing gnawing at her, like, girl, you trying to get a vision. And I almost think subconsciously she was trying to bring the vision to the forefront versus like listening to her heart's desire. Like that makes sense. That she was like, if I could just like basically almost in that kind of spirit walk, that type of thing that she did in season 6. Well, before that, she's thinking of something of like in that same type of vein of like, I want to be able to have a massive premonition that shows me what my life will be like if I marry Cole, because she knew what choice she wanted to make, which was don't marry Cole. Yeah. And so that she already knew that. So she already had an idea of what her life would look like if she doesn't marry Cole. But like you said, she couldn't give up on the what if that's the wrong choice. Even to the point where old Phoebe still wondered, literally asked Cole, is there any way I can save you? What if I go tell her right now? Could she save you? And it could all work out for us. Because even that Phoebe, after that version of Phoebe who didn't marry Cole,
and then had to vanquish him, she wondered if I had married him. She'd been wondering her entire life, all the way to her old age. If I had married him, would I have been able to known quicker that he was the source? And then I would have been able to save him instead of vanquishing him. And we get to see, as the audience, both versions. Once the source had him, there wasn't nothing that could be done about it, because Cole wanted power. And Cole was not going to give up power, even though he does love Phoebe. And that's the thing that's so tough about Cole, is that he does love Phoebe in the best way that he can. But it's never enough. It's never going to be enough, because he wants Phoebe on his terms only. His terms involve him being able to be just a little bit evil.
Exactly.
And that's just not gonna work, because let me tell you who's gonna be clocking it. Paige. Every single time. Clocked it. We went from Paige immediately clocked it. She was in that office that very next day, like, now all of a sudden he got a bunch of money.
Exactly.
Paige was not vibing with him in that episode, where she was like, or not this episode, but like after this, from this point forward, Paige is like, I got his number. I know what's up with that man. So yeah, no, I do. And there's a part of me that does feel for Cole. I will say that. There's a part of me that does feel bad for Cole, because Cole did not ask to be possessed by the source. He didn't ask for that. He just wanted to save Phoebe, and he wanted to save her sisters. And he didn't realize what the consequences of accepting the hollow into him were going to be. And I can understand why he was dumb enough to trust the seer, because you should never trust her. She always scheming. But it's hard. It's hard to really talk about Cole, because he's so complex, and there's so much like empathy I have for him in the situations that he's gotten himself into. But then at the same time, he's a grown man. He's 100+ years old.
Yeah.
How many excuses do we got to make for you before you really have to own up to the fact that you made these choices, and that you are the one who decided to do these things? It's hard. Like, I don't know. It's a tough, because I don't know. I feel like I give Cole a lot more sympathy. Not than you do, but I feel like I'm more delusional about Cole than you are. I think you are more realistic about Cole and your viewpoint.
I think when it comes to Cole, my problem has always been that everything is part of the chain that he created. Like, so even I know that they try to tell us that his father's soul and all that, right? But I always think about the fact that, like, the way he manipulated and seduced Phoebe, and then was like, no, I really actually am in love, for real. And the thing is like...
Later, like, what? Okay.
Right. And it's like, oh, you're in love with the person that you made fall in love with you. How interesting now.
Giving a little bit of narcissism, because the reason you love Phoebe is because she sees good in you.
Good in you. Yes. Yes. And that's my thing. It always ties back to him. And Centennial Charmed, I know this is not part of this episode, but I think that just kind of cements that thought that I have towards him, because for him to think that they were at their best right when Prue died is just the most specific thing to me. It's the most, like, for that to be the specific time that you chose is telling to me.
Yeah.
And in this particular episode, in the Three Faces of Phoebe, and you really can see, like, not just physically, but you can tell that he's struggling with this, because he's like, why am I here? The seer is trying to guide and direct him, and she's trying to tell him, like, I blocked her premonition, so that's not gonna happen, that's not gonna worry. She's trying to make the source come to the forefront. And I just think, I almost wonder in this episode if he wanted old Phoebe to just say something. Like, that part of him was just like, if she does say something, I can be free of this. But the source was what stopped him. And I do think that this episode does a good job of letting Phoebe in all her forms be delusional and showing us that that is a part of her character. And letting us see that no matter the time that she's in, she is willing to overlook the red flags. Because it could have been very easy for old Phoebe to just be like, nope, I'm good. I know what you are. I know what you did. I know what you're gonna do, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
And just immediately be like, y'all need to stop him, give them some kind of clue. But she didn't. I think even from the very moment after she slapped him, but she didn't tell them why. That was that hesitation of, once I tell them, my future is gonna play out.
Yeah.
Then I don't have that control over, or not control necessarily, but I won't have that ability to backpedal a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then young Phoebe, God bless her heart, you know, she's a child, so I give her a little bit of credit in being delusional. But I'm like, baby, you know, you're looking at this man with these bags under his eyes, looking like he's about to die, and she's like, he is our prince, baby. Sweetness, girl.
Some people like that strung out look.
And apparently Phoebe is one of them. Phoebe,
and she showing up is she not? Because that is when she be rubbing on Cole the most. His face, calling him baby, is when he looks strung out, beat up, off his rocker. That's why Phoebe loves him the most, because they're both crazy.
Yep. And I really think though that that's telling that she, even as a child, she doesn't see that. And then what makes it even worse, current Phoebe is standing right next to her, and she's like, he sure is. Just letting us know that our girl, in no capacity, has the ability to see this man for who he truly is in this moment. Like,
and it's just so frustrating, because to me, I feel like you're trying to signal to the audience that he's going through something, but there's a way to signal to the audience, like having him do asides or looking crazy in the bathroom, but then being able to wash his face and looking normal and walking out. And that way we can see that that something's wrong with him. But then, because it's not just, you know, a problem that is in this episode, it's in every episode where somebody's being possessed or under the influence or somebody's taking over their body. They're acting so evidently different than how they normally act that even that we as the audience know that something's up. But if my husband started acting the way Cole was acting that day in the Three Faces of Phoebe, I would be like, do I need to call the cops? Because what the hell is wrong with you, dude? You could have been on the phone with my mama and his mama. Like, y'all need to get over here and get this man. Something's wrong with him. He owns something. And he coming down, and I'm not dealing with it. But, like, this idea that, like, you see this man that you love struggling so deeply with something, and instead of just sitting and talking to him about it, you go do a spell.
And, you know, the thing about that is, and I love my girls down, but, and you and I have talked about this a lot, our girls don't understand what communication is. They have no idea how to talk. They don't do that with each other. They have no idea how to talk to each other about hard things, typically until magic gets involved. Like, it has to be, we just lost our powers, Balthazar is coming to kill us, for them to be able to hash out a little bit.
Has to be on the line
for
that to happen. Literally, that life and death situations, or they just got finished with a life and death situation. And so, you know how they come down from an adrenaline and you feel like an emotional crash? They're like, I'm so sorry, I was mean to you earlier. It's like, they're all so avoided. The only one that wasn't avoided was Prue, and she would want to confront things directly. And then like, not even just Prue and Paige, they both want to confront things directly, but Piper and Phoebe are so avoidant that they force the two of them into being avoidant, especially with Paige, because Phoebe and Piper kind of gang up on her. And even this situation with like, you know, Piper, like Phoebe doing the spell, and then Paige being like, oh, you told her she could do a spell, and then Piper being like, not right now, type of thing. It's like, but that's the thing, because y'all come down hard on Paige whenever Paige makes mistakes. But Paige has a whole magical life and destiny and power set and reality that y'all have no understanding and knowledge of, that she has to also explore, and y'all stifle that. No wonder she rejected and pushed off her white lighter abilities and stuff. And the fact that we waited until this episode for Paige to be able to orb from room to room, crazy.
It's crazy. And then they take it from like 20 to 100. So it's like she can orb from upstairs, but she gets caught up in the air and then she falls. And then literally by the end of the episode, we're orbing across town like nobody's business.
And we didn't even ask. And that was them saying, don't ask us nothing else. She can orb now. She can orb with not only just herself. She didn't just orb herself across town. She orbed two other people across town. She had to come back and get Piper and take her.
Yep. Yep. They
Like,
they said, girl, don't ask us about this no more. No, she's not orbiting in
she,
place anymore. This is it.
she can do
This
it
this
now.
just,
Like, that should have been something that was introduced in the episode before the source, the Lost and Found
yeah.
episode. That should have been
Yes.
introduced in that episode. And not that they even had to use it in the Charmed and Dangerous episode. You didn't have to use it in that. But at least we can be like, oh, okay, it's been a couple of weeks now that she's been able to orb from place to place. Her being able to orb across town with two people. Okay, 3 weeks later, still a little rushed, but okay, yeah, I can believe that. But no, it
Yeah.
was literally a not even 12 hours, was it? Maybe 12-hour difference.
Girl, I don't
Between
even
I
think it
can barely
was.
orb downstairs, can't stick the
Mhm.
landing, but now I can orb across town to get there in time to
Exactly.
save Cole.
Exactly. All right, y'all. So we're back after a quick little break moment. So we are back in it. And I know we left off talking about Paige and her Orbin and how they just threw it in there. They said, girl, here. They said, here,
Yeah,
don't ask us about it again. We're not doing all of that. We're not training her. The white lighter in the house is not going to train her. And
big
we're not
deal.
worried about it.
She'll be fine. She'll figure it out. She will figure it out. There was no white lighter pop quizzes for that.
Nope.
But
Nope.
like, and I guess I know we keep straying away from talking about just this episode, but even the same thing with her healing, it was just like Blue doing that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the most love you ever felt was with Henry, not when anybody else was dying ever, just with Henry.
Her
Okay, that's
sister,
my
she was
up there.
like, y'all will be all
She's like, do
right.
isn't that why y'all have Leo?
Exactly.
So yeah, like I do, and I feel like Paige really did get the short end of the stick when it comes to a lot of the situations and storylines
Mhm.
moving forward. I feel like she was like, when we talk about Paige, like I do think they kind of stuck her with this. Like she approached it from a different angle, the mistrust of Cole. But
Mhm.
I do really feel like they just was like, well, that was Prue's thing, so it's got to be somebody's thing, mistrusting Cole. And
Yeah.
they stuck Paige with it, and then they really put our girl through it. That episode with the power brokers, that Rose, she was acting
Yeah.
in that
Yes.
attic after that
Absolutely.
little meltdown. But
Absolutely.
and I do think like this episode, obviously it makes sense that this episode is where it starts because this is the first episode where we actually do see Cole being possessed and struggling and then kind of fully giving into the source, towards the end. But Paige is immediately suspicious because she's the same one that was like, how did you get the knife away from him? How did you do this? Like everybody else is just ignoring these obvious red flags of like
Mhm.
how he was able to survive this demon fight. And Paige is like, what? Question mark, question mark, question mark. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So I do wonder, and I mean, not to be rude, but can we talk about Paige's outfit just for a single second? Do you remember the skirt with the same matching color leggings?
Let me go look this up because I
Look up the
just
photo.
know
Yeah,
that
let's
I'm
pull.
going to have something negative to say. Look this up. Oh, ew, that one. Oh, God. Ugh.
Yep,
Ugh,
that is
brother.
the
Ugh. It just, ugh.
yeah, yeah. It's
Ugh.
just not good. It's just not good. It's like a skirt over like dress pants, and then that's got that little pear apple rainbow belt thing.
Yes.
And then the tank top is fine. There's nothing. It's nothing. It's whatever. Who cares? But it's just like Phoebe's outfit is a very Phoebe. Well, not I don't know. It's kind of a Phoebe outfit. The pants are quite crazy. And then you got Piper in I guess her signature leather pants in
In
season
leather
4.
pants. You
She's
got Piper
always in
in leather pants.
Why is she always in leather? Like that's like a third pair of leather pants that she wears in this season. She loves some leather pants all of a sudden.
And then that shirt, I don't know what Piper's shirt is. And then, okay, so Phoebe's outfit is giving me very like adult Phoebe, if that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
So it's giving me this is what season 2 Phoebe would wear in a couple of years when it's popular.
Yeah.
You know, like
yeah.
that's what that outfit is kind of giving me because, like you said, it is very. I feel like Phoebe likes to experiment with things. Like it's not just about it being modern and hip, but it's also about it being expressive. It's also something that when she wears it, people will comment on. And I feel like that outfit is very, very.
There's at least one aspect of Phoebe's outfit that is like like peacocking, very attention grabbing, even if it's her belly, even if that's the part of the outfit that's like it's her stomach is out. There's always at least one element of her outfit that's like, oh my God, I love your studded belt. Oh my God, I love that little skirt you wrapped around that. I love your halter top. Like it's at least one, or like, oh, I love the way you did your hair. Like there's one little tiny element that's like, pay attention to me type of thing about her outfit. Absolutely. And so, I feel like that with that big chunky, almost giving cowboy belt there. But yeah, like no, like that's the thing about it is like, I feel like the sisters, I mean, there's a lot of good looks from all the seasons, but I feel like from season 4 forward, Piper's style really is very cemented, and then we get Paige churning out looks every other episode. And even when she would take risks, you would be like, okay, but then there would be that one off note like this outfit where you're like, what was the thought? What was the thought process? What was the inspo for this outfit?
I kind of feel like this was supposed to show her artsy side, like her weird, what they would associate. Let me say that. That's not, I don't think that artsy, I don't associate that with weird, but I feel like they did. And I feel like that's what they were trying to show was like, Paige isn't afraid to wear ugly, eclectic clothes. She's not afraid to like try out a way different outfit that's out of the box, you know. I'm glad we got away from that though, because this is not this, and then you know I would be remiss.
If it had just been tights or something, it could have been cute, but to have it be dress pants, it's like
yes, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring up the bangs. This is the episode that we're introduced to the bangs. And
the bangs. We had to talk about the bangs, baby bangs.
I will just never understand. I know we talked about that before we started recording, but I don't care how popular it was. I don't care how in style it was. It looked a mess.
It was
yes. It literally looked like they gave little Phoebe some scissors and they were like, "Give yourself some bangs," and she said, "Okay, I'm gonna do that."
It really was giving that. Like there were some times from this point forward where there were occasions where the bangs were styled and I was like, okay, I see how that's a kind of a little bit, okay, I see that you can do something with them. I don't think it's cute, but I see that's not bad.
Yeah.
Like I don't even mind how they did them with her, like where they had like part of her, like for the wedding episode where they had part of her bangs that were actually curled and then just underneath it was, I'm like, okay, you did something there.
Yeah.
Let's just shave them off, but you did something there. But in the first one, it's just across her forehead and it just looks so choppy. It literally looks like somebody went chop, 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 chop. And it's like Alyssa can pull it off, so it's like whatever. And even in like Phoebe in Universe, if I was in Universe and I saw Phoebe, I'm like, I hate her. Her hair looks so good, but I hate her. Because I'm like, it kind of works for Phoebe. She can do it. But no. Ultimately, no. Ultimately, that's what turned Cole evil.
Right, it's got to be like, I really think that the source was not in Cole, it was in those bangs, and that's why, you know, like sweet Jesus, every time I see it, and that's why like I have such a love-hate relationship with this episode. Like this is the first episode that they give us the bangs, and I really wish, and I do not remember how we determine this. I always try to like say we because I know we've watched this episode in the rewatch. So some things I don't know if I've said it or if someone else said it or if we all whoever brought the point up, it would have been nice for someone to comment on Phoebe's hair and she'll be like, I just needed a change. Because I think that's something that Phoebe absolutely would have done. And I think it would have been good to get that physical representation that Phoebe feels that something is off. And so even though that hair is ugly, the bang is ugly, I feel like it would have made so much sense for her to say that she's doing something to try to take some semblance of control because she doesn't feel like she's in control with her power and there's something weird that she can't get, and so she's trying to bring that to the forefront. It would have been a nice touch, but the charmed writers,
and I think to me, I feel like I will say this, like we have talked about it before, that this is kind of a love-hate episode for both of us and kind of, I think in general for the fandom. When I was younger, I didn't really like it. I didn't see the point in it. And I hate that Cole gets possessed by, like, I do think it's a good storyline, but I hate that Cole gets possessed by the source. And I think this episode is so obvious that somebody should have helped that man, because Cole was fighting off the most powerful demon in the world inside of his body. Like, come on, y'all. Somebody do something. Somebody help him. But I just kind of never liked it for that. But then as an adult, when I watch it, I'm like, it's so good at like kind of really giving you an in-depth understanding of how Cole navigates things.
Yes.
Because the moment that Phoebe's life was threatened, Cole immediately gave into the source in order to get access to his powers to protect Phoebe. And that is such an interesting thing, that we knew the source and the seer. Maybe the source didn't understand, but the seer absolutely understood, which is why I think the seer used to be a witch. She understands humans.
She does.
Well.
She does.
Well. She went through that little training program, was in there wrestling with demons.
And good. And she understands the nature of good too. Like
that's yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
She understands how to approach them. She understands how to manipulate them. Like, and it's and I don't think a demon necessarily would have been that good at manipulating Phoebe's emotions when she's pregnant, unless she had an understanding of like not just Phoebe, but how to push those buttons. And I think it doubles back to, and I think that what you're saying like can tie in real well to the fact that Balthazar is the one who got that close because he was half human. And that's why
exactly.
they sent him, so he could
literally.
So it's like I think that would just make the most sense to me.
I'm saying, because even when we have like way later with Zanku, he's having to read Piper's diary to understand them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how he was able to understand why Piper didn't leave Leo when she should have. You know, like logically, demon brain, logically, he's reading. He's like, do you see how sad she was? That was a violation. Zanku was bad.
It was. Zanku was bad.
Oh, they fair now. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I think it would make sense with the seer being a witch as well, because maybe as a good witch, she realized, okay, my premonitions are only going to go so far. I'm only going to be able to touch things. I'm only going to be able to get, visions about innocence. I'm only going to be able to, or that's maybe what she thought. And she thought, because like, okay, well, she's not a charmed one, so her visions aren't going to exactly be, probably sending her into the future. So she was chasing power. She was, in need of more. And that might have been what led her to join in forces with evil.
I could see that too, especially when we consider the fact that like she's hundreds of years old and she served several sources. So the idea that she may have been, ancient times witch, somebody who could see the future and could see disasters. Mm-hmm. You know how that's such a common trope that in literature, especially, that the person who can see disasters, they don't think that person is just foreseeing them. They think the existence of that person is causing them. Yes. So I could see the seer being in that type of situation in some ancient long ago town / village / whatever, that she's foreseeing these bad things happening to people and they're thinking that she's causing it. And then that eventually ends up turning her to evil because she needs to protect herself. Mm-hmm. And she knows the only way to protect herself, like you're saying, is to get more power, to align yourself with evil, to be able to protect herself and foresee how people might try to come at her because they think she's the one causing all this stuff. And that forces her to, and then being able to foretell, like being a psychic help. That's not a very common. It seems like it's less common in the demonic world. With the seer, it would make sense that she would then, like you said, align herself with power because has this fear of like, instead of people thinking that she's the one just seeing these visions of bad things that happen, they think she's causing. I mean, they made a whole Disney movie about that type of thing, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like I could see her wanting to, have to ride with the big dogs in order to protect herself. And then OG Victor, he said that premonitions are a rare power. And I don't know if that's just rarity everywhere, but it definitely seems like it's much more rare in the demonic world because it kind of seems like it would give them too much power to be able to do that, because they would be able to take over much easier, whereas good isn't looking to take over. So therefore, they more often can see the future to be able to like defend against evil. So I could see her very easily being very coveted mm-hmm. by whichever source she served. But it's like, how old is she really? Because she served a couple of sources, and then the current source source that ended up getting vanquished had been the source for like hundreds of years too. So it's like, dang, girl, you old.
Yeah.
Drop the skincare routine though.
Right, exactly. And too, with her being from an potentially ancient time, whatever, she being a woman in that time, a black woman, depending on where she was, there's a lot of layers to that could
at some point she came to the U.S.
So there's a lot there too that could have absolutely led her to be like, I'm gonna be evil. I am not sitting here.
The only way to protect myself is to be evil, and that just sucks. Because even she said she doesn't like, or was it Cole said that she doesn't like to kill? It's too messy. She's not like evil for the sake of evil, like evil for the sake of carnage and chaos, like a lot of the other demons are. She's evil strategically.
Yeah.
In the kind of the same way that Cole was. Cole was very strategic evilly, which, I mean, honestly, Cole as the source and the seer as his seer, and then Phoebe as his queen of the underworld. I mean, it eats bad. It eats so good. I really wanted a full season of evil Cole and evil Phoebe running the underworld,
that would have
battling with Piper and Paige. Prue, but we understand why Prue couldn't be there.
Yeah, that would have that definitely would have been cute. Yeah, and I wonder too, with the seer in this theory that she might have been a witch. It makes me wonder if that's why she doesn't kill people, because she's not a demon. She's just an evil human, essentially. Yeah. Like, so she's like
Tawatha, essentially, right?
Exactly. Yeah, well, and Tawatha didn't care. Tawatha was like, girl,
ooh, that line? Oh, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for yours. Oh, that girl.
My girl ate that up.
I love that one.
It just but it does make me wonder, and I did enjoy in this episode. I will say too, I loved getting more of the seer. I loved her being a bigger part of the story. You get a chance to see her manipulations and machinations.
Yes,
and I enjoyed so much just watching her maneuver these different pieces and show us how she is putting her hands into getting this going. This isn't just like you said, this isn't just something that she did. This isn't just some decision that she made. Like, she actually pieced this out together and was like, I am going to make this happen. And she was playing a long game.
She laid the groundwork for every moment, even including sending Curzon to target little Phoebe. She did not care about Curzon. She knew Curzon was going to get himself killed. She wanted to put Phoebe's life directly in danger so that Cole would have no choice but to give in to the source in order to protect Phoebe.
That's it.
And she did that. That's what she did intentionally. And she planned on getting Curzon killed. She was willing and dealing and making stuff happen for herself. So I really do appreciate the seer kind of being introduced as this sort of subtle background villain, and that it wasn't until after we eliminated what we thought was the real villain that the real villain revealed themselves. That was really good with the seer, and this episode laid the groundwork for that. I do kind of have one question on, like, sort of overall. Do you think that, like, let's say that, okay, let's just talk about the scene. I'm going to sacrifice my 85-year-old body for you. Let's just talk about it. Why? Why and what and for what? And why?
I feel like old Phoebe understood she was dying to give herself a new future. Okay. And it goes back to, I know I say Phoebe is delusional all the time, but I really think that the fandom kind of underestimates how far Phoebe really is in this vision in her head of what perfection and happiness looks like. And I don't want to get too deep here. I really don't. I promise not. But I also don't think that we sometimes, including myself, take into account that Phoebe may be depressed. And so those thoughts of what if are the only thing kind of getting her through. And so I couldn't imagine already being depressed. And then you have to vanquish this one person that you thought that you loved, and that just throws you completely into what we see before us. is
Yeah.
not knowing how to cope, not knowing how to rebound, being bitter and consumed by you took this from me, this in Phoebe's head, this one shot I had in true love, and you
Yeah.
took that from me and I had to vanquish you. And so that's what I think old Phoebe was trying to accomplish was
Mm.
I know how you are because you are me, I am you. And I know that I could sit here and tell you to marry him or not marry him, and you're still gonna be looking crazy. So
Yeah.
I am going to die right now so that
Yeah.
you know that but because too, another thing that I think is important in this, she never says you should marry him. She says,
Yeah.
here's your answer. And
Yeah.
so, even as that old, bitter, mean, whatever, she's
Yeah.
still Phoebe at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
I feel like low key, she didn't want to be the one to say, yes, you should marry him. So she was
But
just
I ain't
like,
never don't
take
put
from
that
this
on me,
what you
because
will. She's like, take from it what you will. Whatever you come up with the answer to be, that's what the answer is. Because
yeah.
she knew how she would perceive it, and she knew what she was going to get from it. So
Yeah.
that's what I think. That's why, like, I find that moment. I mean, it's sad. Don't get me wrong. Like, clearly, it's
Yeah.
sad. But that's what I find so sad about it is Phoebe spends her entire life struggling, and when we see that version of her, it just is more confirmation that she spends even more of her life struggling,
Yeah.
not being happy, not feeling fulfilled, not, whatever. And so she knew she needed to be hurt in order
Mm.
to get past the hurt that she felt. Like, you're gonna feel some momentary hurt, whatever,
Yeah.
if you marry Cole, whatever the hell happens, but you'll know that you tried.
Yeah.
Versus me, who didn't get a chance to try because I had to vanquish him.
Do you think it's that, like, that's what this, or the older Phoebe was saying, is like, even for better for worse, no matter what, as long as you make this choice to marry him, which is what I'm inching you towards with this action,
Mm-hmm.
as long as you make that choice, you'll get to see what seeing this relationship
Yeah.
through, you will get to see what that looks like, something I did not give myself, and that's why I'm bitter and angry. Or do you think there's a part of older Phoebe who thought it's not just that you'll get to see it through, but she thought not marrying him was the wrong choice? If Phoebe marries him, it might work out. Like, I wonder if she thought that there was a chance that it could work out. Not just that
Oh,
Phoebe
yeah.
needed to see it through, but like there was a small part of her that's like, I need Phoebe to see this through, because that's the regret wouldn't it be crazy if like the old Phoebe was saying a spell to fix the regrets at the same time that the young Phoebe said that spell, and that's what made everything happen?
That might, honest to God, that could have been, because what if, like, old Phoebe was casting that spell, they intercepted, and then the backfire was little Phoebe, so that's why we have this big mess. That is an amazing,
Yeah.
and I think, honest to God, of what you said, I think it could be both of them. I think it could be, you'll get a chance to see what happened, but what happens may also be that you're able to fix him. You're able to, because Phoebe always held on until she absolutely didn't and had to let go, to this idea that she could fix Cole. And it was,
No, keep going. Sorry.
oh, I was just gonna say, it's partly because she thought that she could, but then it's also partly because he told her that she could slash could.
He
And
definitely
so
does.
it is this constant battle of, like, I am the thing keeping him together. I'm the thing. And then you get old Phoebe who may be looking at it like, if I hadn't given up on him, if I had, if I had just tried,
my love could have saved him. Yeah.
So
No,
I definitely think that's what I think. It's a compliment of both.
I also think, like, because that kind of makes sense, because we see, like, there's a little bit of glimmer, and like a little glimmer of hope there, because we also see that, like, old Phoebe literally says, I never had to cast a spell, I knew what to do. So it does make you wonder, like, she's like, I don't even remember. She's like, well, how does she not remember casting this spell? And then Leo's little explanation, which is just like, we didn't even mention Piper and Leo at all in this episode, because what were they there for, and what did they do?
The power of three, and that's it. And Leo was just there. And Leo was just there to be there, so.
Truly, I mean, at least Paige got a new power boost in the episode and saved the day essentially by orbiting people across town. But like, I do wonder if maybe that is like because the reason why that version of Phoebe, the one that a version of Phoebe that did not cast the spell, got brought to the present was because that version of Phoebe was casting a spell of her own at the same time. Because that would be really interesting. Because why didn't that older, like, that would have been a pivotal thing to remember. If you did cast that spell, she would not have forgotten that. So when the older Phoebe, she was either lying when she says she didn't cast it, which I don't believe. I believe her when she says she didn't cast it. I believe that old lady knew what choice she made, and that's why she lived with such regret, because she feels like she probably didn't give each like option enough weight. And so yeah, I do agree when like she was like, I need to show Phoebe how I have to show her. I know myself. I have to show her that even after all of these years, I'm still willing to sacrifice myself for Cole, and she can take that however she wants to. Because some people could interpret it as, look at how this man got me killed. He's going to get you killed too.
Yeah.
That's hard to interpret it that way. It's harder, but you could.
Oh no, absolutely. And I think too, the thing with old Phoebe being the not remembering casting a spell, it really makes me think, at what point did they catch Cole? Because
interesting, yeah,
like that's the thing in the timeline that I think is missing, that I don't know that it would answer all of our questions, but it would fill in a little bit of a gap if we knew, like, around this time that Phoebe is casting this spell is when old Phoebe in her time found out. Like, so that's why she never casted the spell, because she actually found out at that time, because maybe she was the one that did, like you said, and was asking him questions and being like, you look like you are strung out, what is happening? And maybe instead of casting a spell for her heart's desire, she cast one to make the premonition come forward, and she saw. And you know, there's that version of it that just makes me, I feel like that could help if we knew, but we'll never know. But yeah, it was, and I do think ultimately, I feel like I wish we'd had a buffer episode in between Charmed and Dangerous and this. I really wish we'd had a buffer of just one episode of just like good vibes. Because Charmed and Dangerous was a magnificent episode, but it was drama. It was like everybody almost died multiple times. And then the very next episode we get is this episode, and Cole is immediately taken over by the Source by the end of it. Yeah, I just wish we had just gotten that one little feel good vibes episode, a little fun little San Francisco, he's a man baby type of episode, just in between there, a little chick flick episode, just to kind of have fun, because this is a bit of a bummer of an episode. Like, there's a lot of hijinks and shenanigans, but ultimately, when you think about the messaging of it, it's a little bit of a bummer. And we do see a version of Phoebe that you have to wonder, were Piper and Paige alive in the timeline that the Phoebe got taken out of? And did they just never, their sister just never came back? She just disappeared. I mean, just disappeared and died, and they never knew anything. But then again, granted, the timeline also ends up changing as well. So I do think that's really interesting. And I do think that, you know, Phoebe did have to see her and Cole's relationship through all the way till the very bitter end, because if she did not, she would have turned into that bitter Phoebe, wondering what could have been. Because she does live in the what ifs. What if I had made better choices? And like you said earlier, it's really interesting that Cole didn't even think of, like, let me go back to when Phoebe was in New York before she ever returned to San Francisco. And meet her then and see if we can fall in love in New York and just never come back to San Francisco. But no, he went back to when Prue wasn't alive, which is just wild. Because he is an abuser who wanted to keep Phoebe by herself and isolated as much as he could. I'm sorry. I just for some reason feel like, and I know that is such a strong statement to make, but
he was an abuser,
That's what, but that specific action gives me very much, I want to have her in a place where I know her protector won't be there. Where I know she won't have that person who's going to be on my head. And so it's going to be easy for me. But let me stop, because child, anyway. But I I do think that this episode being directly after Charmed and Dangerous, I'm like you, like I could have seen them having a cute little like beach episode, not an actual beach episode, but you know,
Yeah,
just
I know.
like something of that nature. But it, it almost adds to that sense of like, oh, it doesn't stop.
Yeah,
Like this
it
is
does,
what they
for
mean when
sure.
they say like it I think that kind of transition helps to explain why they're so tired by season
Yeah.
7, because it's like it just does not stop. They don't. And then it
Mhm.
even kind of goes into what Piper tells us later on, like something good happens and then
Mhm.
something horrible happens right after. So
Yeah.
it's just like that does seem to be the theme of their lives, and I can see where that would be the thing that would just have old Phoebe being like, I can't do this again. I can't, you
Yeah.
know, or Phoebe in general just be like, I can't do this. I can't
Yeah.
open myself back up to this just for, because I wonder if that version of Phoebe ever met Jason. I wonder if that version of Phoebe ever met Leslie, you know, and had like
Yeah.
this serious relationship, but then also just fun and flings. And did it ever go anywhere? Clearly she didn't meet Coop, or if she did, she didn't care. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's just it's
I could
hard to
just
think.
see her having a bunch of flings. I would see, like, I think having to vanquish Cole the way that she did. I could see that being how Grams was, where Grams would have men that she would even marry, but it kind of seemed like even though Grams was willing to marry men, she wasn't ever all in with any of those men. And the relationships would fizzle out very quickly because, Penny was a hottie. Penny was a hottie.
Mhm.
And she was very magnetic and very, like, had a lot of, like, I could see her drawing a lot of people to her. She had a lot of confidence. So
Mhm.
I could see her being able to very quickly make men fall in love with her. And then she is very much like Phoebe, where she does love the love of it all and gets wrapped up in the whirlwind of it all. And then by the time that all the dust settles and she got this man's ring on her finger and he's living in her house, and she's like, oh, wait a minute. A man? Why would a man be there? And
Mhm.
so she's like, as a matter of fact, why don't you get out my house?
Exactly.
And I could really see Phoebe, and I think that old version of Phoebe also still lived in the manor.
Oh yeah, you know she
I ain't
did.
going nowhere.
Oh, you
I ain't
know she
going
did.
nowhere. Yeah, she absolutely in her same bedroom too, probably.
Mhm.
And then
Mhm.
Leo and Piper running around with their plethora of kids, and it's just Aunt Phoebe in the bedroom.
Exactly.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I do see that version of Phoebe. She probably never, I don't think she would have even been able to be in a relationship with Jason because Phoebe's relationship with Jason was genuine and real and could have really ended in a marriage. There was an option for that. Not with the way Phoebe was lying to that man for about 15 months, but
Yeah.
I don't see the older version of Phoebe. I don't see her being able to have any real genuine connections after having, because when you have that type of deep regret related to a particular relationship or love, it is such an insurmountable like obstacle in your way of being able
Mhm.
to genuinely enter into another relationship. Like,
Mhm.
and that's why it's like you really do have to get over your exes before you can move forward,
Yeah.
because it makes it almost impossible because you just constantly have this regret, and it can make you make dumb choices. It really can. Like even Phoebe did. She wanted so badly to, she was so angry at Cole that she let herself get put in that pumpkin, and that man was gonna
Mhm.
smash that pumpkin. He was gonna smash
He
it.
was gonna tear my girl's head up.
And she did just what old Phoebe did. What was the first thing she did? She punched Cole right in his face and was like, how dare you? How could you do this? That's the
Mhm.
same thing old Phoebe did.
Mhm.
So, so she, but that's the thing, is that Phoebe had learned her lesson. She learned the lesson of like, I saw the relationship all the way through to its bitter end, and
Yeah.
it ended bitterly. And I did my part and I tried my best. I literally became the queen of the underworld for this man,
Yeah.
and it did not work out. So there's nothing more I can do. There's nothing more anybody can expect from me
Mhm.
in this relationship, because I've done everything I could possibly do. I almost bore the source air for this man, just for to have one, even after he was dead, to have one little tiny piece of coal still. I was gonna literally have a demon baby.
Mhm.
So yeah, I feel for Phoebe. I do. I feel for Phoebe because I feel like I wish old Phoebe had just told her, like, he's strung out, girl. He's strung out on that source.
Right. All
He's
right.
strung out on that source juice. It's messing him up. You
Mhm.
dispossess him. Go ahead and put him in a crystal cage and dispossess him.
Mhm.
Yes, it would have made, like, how is that going to make things for the worse? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Exactly.
It just, to me, I don't know. I feel like there were better ways to approach this from both Phoebe's perspective in universe, but also from an outside the universe writing perspective, there were much better ways to address Phoebe's insecurities about marrying Cole. And I think one of them would have been forcing Phoebe and Cole into a like sort of like a boxed episode themselves, where they had to kind of contend and fight over
Yes.
both of them hiding things from each other, you know? Because,
Mhm.
like, why aren't you talking to Cole about how
Exactly.
you feel? You're just begging Cole to talk to you, but tell him, I think you're acting like Belfazor. So what's up?
Exactly.
You're acting like Belfazor,
Exactly.
so what's up? Are you Belfazor?
Exactly. Exactly. No, you're so
Yeah.
right. Like, they needed to say the words and they just never do. They never say things. We just let things go completely unspoken and then we hope for the best. That's what our girls
Every time.
do. That's what our
Every time,
girls do.
every single time. It was ridiculous. But yeah, no, this is one of those. This is one of those like sometimes it's a good episode, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's a good one to throw in the background, but it is a
No.
good one to like kind of really get a good contextual understanding of how Cole and Phoebe's relationship just went off the rails from here on out. Like old Phoebe sacrificing herself really sent a message to our Phoebe. And for better for worse, she took that message to heart.
Absolutely. She sure did.
And we still don't know what the message was. All it was there's your answer. And I'm like, where? Huh?
She was
I
like
so
your delusion is the answer. That's what the answer is. Whatever you want the answer to be, that's what the answer is.
you know the answer in your heart. It's like, what are we doing? I'd have been so mad at myself. You think I'd have been like, somebody heal her? I'd have been like, really, bitch? That's why you go down on the floor.
Exactly. Like, girl, that's why you finna go to hell laying on the floor right now in your childhood
Yeah,
home.
I'd have been like,
How about
okay.
that?
I'd have thrown my hands. I'd have been like, whatever. I'd have been like, Cole, help me up. Help me up for her.
Well, this has been so fun. I'm glad we had a chance to get into this episode and talk about Phoebe and her bangs and old Phoebe, who I would have paid good money to see her levitate. I wanted to see that woman levitate so bad, and that's one of my biggest disappointments in life is that I have never gotten a chance to see that woman levitate. But anyway, we move. But this has really been so fun. Diamond, where can we find you on social media?
I am on TikTok at Diamond Talks with a Z. I make charm content every once in a while.
Listen, when you do make charm content, though, you make really good charm content. So
Thank you.
it is worth the follow. It is worth them going to listen and just catch up with you. And speaking of catching up with you, hopefully you'll come on for another episode one day and we can get
definitely.
Okay, good.
This was fun. I really like this. I really like digging into like one episode, especially focusing on the characters. I think that's really because the plot can be really interesting. It was a really plot heavy episode, but this wasn't really plot. This was really digging into Phoebe and really understanding Cole. So I really like this. This is good.
Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it. This is a different format. I want to try to get into this and hopefully I can make this work and stick. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day. And I will be catching you in the group.
Woo, we're going to be, we got to get into season 7. Lord of mercy. But we're going to
listen, if that's if. But anyway.
We'll catch it in July. When we're in our Leo energy in July, we'll catch it then.
Exactly. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and end here, and I'll be catching up to you.
Catch y'all next time. Bye.
Bye, y'all.